Welcome to the Brian Bloom Photography Podcast, Dancers in Spotlight. Today we have Avah back for her second podcast. I wanted to see, just for our viewers here, why you wanted to talk about mental health and sports.
Since I started getting back into dance, I think in my freshman year, I started struggling because I was in advanced classes. Everyone was better than me at everything. I wasn't getting anything down, but they could do it right there and then and not have to worry about sitting there practicing it in class. And it made me a little insecure because they also had that dancer body shape. It was just a little upsetting how I was trying to be on their level because I thought that if I was not on their level, then they wouldn't like me or they wouldn't want to be around me because it's like, oh, you're not on our level. You're not good like us. We can't be around you. Because that has happened a couple of times. So that's why I'm so big on it.
Talk to us about your experience.
I remember I started getting back into dance in 8th grade. It was the beginning of 8th grade in the summer. And I didn't want to get back into dancing once I stopped because I was like, I'm moving too many times. But I started finding a passion back to dance now. I went to a new studio. When I got there, even the little kids, like the 10-year-olds and the 11-year-olds, they were able to do skills that I couldn't do. It was just kind of embarrassing for me because I'm like, okay, they're 10, they're 9, they're way younger than me and they can do this and that. I'm just sitting here as a 12, 13-year-old who can't do anything. I couldn't even hit a single pirouette and everyone else was able to. And I was like, yeah. And that's just where it started happening. I took a dance class at my high school my freshman year. There were these girls on the varsity drill team at my high school and I was nowhere like good as them because I was just starting to get back in. They've been dancing for like way younger, like constantly. They never took a break.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just hurting because I remember I asked one of them if they could help me with techniques because I wanted to try out for the varsity drill team at my high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they said sure, but then didn't. And I found a group chat message that my friend sent me with them saying like, oh, Ava's trying to have me help her with technique, or she asked me what studio I'm going to. Like, why does she want to go to my studio? Everyone's not going to like her. And then I just struggled with it because I was like, am I never going to be good? And then, like I said in the last podcast, I had a torn meniscus before comp.
Right.
And I was like, is this a sign that I should just give up dancing? It was too much of a burnout because I was trying so hard to be so much better than everybody else or on their level that I ended up burning myself out and injuring myself when I should have just took time on it. A lot of people talk to me about their sport. I had a friend who also was on the drill team. I wasn't. But we would always talk about volleyball and sports and everything and how a lot of kids were leaving their sport at freshman or maybe younger because it was just too much of a burnout. They were getting bullied for it. They weren't as experienced or they weren't as good.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hurt me seeing some of my friends who were in sports hurt, like whether it's football, basketball, anything, it kind of just hurt. And I understand how they felt. So I was like, this needs to get spread because there's probably so many people out there who are athletes who are just thinking about giving up their sport as we speak probably right now. And it's not worth giving up because you're slowly taking time to get better. You don't want to rush anything.
Right.
And I learned that the hard way.
How have you improved as far as your mental health? Would you say that it's improved since the torn meniscus that you had? And what are some ways that you have decided to prioritize your mental health?
What I did to help was I asked my teachers for advice because I was placed in level 3 or 4 classes and advanced classes when I got back into it. I just asked my teachers, what level class do you think I need to be in? And they were just telling me, you need to be in a level 2-3 class. And one of my old drill coach from my studio told me, and it was really wise advice, she was like, you should never have to leave your sport or burn yourself out because you're not as good as everybody else. And that I took that with me a lot. I would go to the studio and practice it. I would just keep practicing it. Anytime I get, whether I'm at school and I'm in the dance room or at the studio, I was practicing nonstop. And I did seem to see somewhat improvement after a good year or so.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm in level 4 classes, like ballet 3-4 and like contemporary 3-4. I'm in the advanced classes now because I was able to improve to where they think I was ready. I cried over it. I cried, I screamed, I was upset. I was like, is dancing really for me? Is there a reason why I stopped? Is there a reason why I tore my meniscus? Is there a reason why people are saying I'm not going to be a good dancer? It was just those overthinking, overwhelming thoughts that were getting to me. And I told my mom a couple of times how I did want to quit and how I wanted to leave the studio or drop out of the team because of how stressed I was and how I couldn't handle not being good like everybody else. My biggest fear was that since everyone else was good and I was scared that we were going to go on stage for a recital or anything like that, and everyone hits a clean triple and I hit a clean double, and then it just does not look right, or I messed up the choreography because I couldn't hit a clean triple or double. I just sat there and I was like, the torn meniscus happens for a reason. Like I said last podcast, I learned from that. I was like, okay, maybe I should not be trying to rush myself because I rushed myself. This is what happened as my consequence, So I was like, maybe I shouldn't just rush. Maybe I should just take my time. And next thing you know, I made my new studio team. And I was like, oh, well, that just made me even better because the studio that I went to, they're highly professional. They take their dancing really seriously. I was scared myself because I saw people doing like so many like way more higher tricks or like just like techniques in general. And I was like, are you sure I need to be here? I can't do any of this. We were practicing for auditions for Nutcracker because if you make the team, you have to be a Nutcracker and stuff like that. And I was like, I've never been a Nutcracker and I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, so it puts a lot of extra stress on you. If you're comparing yourself instead of just working on yourself, right? And then finding out later on, hey, I did make the team.
Right.
And I didn't really need to be stressed out so much.
Right.
If I just focus on improving myself.
Yeah.
So
that's just what I learned. I also talked to my old coach about it from last year. I was telling her, I was like, sometimes I feel like I just want to give up. And she was like, giving up is pointless because there are so many great opportunities to come. They just have not came yet because you want to be successful. So of course, what you want to happen will not happen right now. And she was telling me, if you give up your sport, or for me, if you give up dance, if something ends up good happening and you miss that opportunity, you can't get upset with anybody but yourself because you left on your own. And if you would have stayed in it, you would have been on the team. You would be on the competitive team if you didn't drop out. And now they're doing something that you wanted to always do. And now you can't do it because you left on your own. So I took that very serious and I was like, it's going to come. So I just kept practicing, just did not care.
Yes. Well, that's good. And I think people need to hear that, just to keep going and to not let the other people on their team or where they want to go and try to be at this really high level be an intimidation to them.
Right. I just want to say, whether you're trying out for a studio team or your high school drill team or middle school, anything, don't let those negative thoughts that people are telling you get in your head. Because if you let that get into your head, you will be completely drained. You would just start giving up. You need to prove to them that they are wrong and you can do this. And sometimes all you got to do is just say, watch me, and then succeed. And then, they might succeed also, but you're going to succeed 10 times more because you took the determination to whether practice and dance, practice football skills, basketball skills, volleyball skills, swim skills, just that kind of nature. So don't let something that small affect your mental health and affect something you love, because think of why you did that sport in the first place. You did that sport in the first place because you love it. It's something you love. It's something you want to do. It's something you might want to pursue when you graduate or when you leave.
Let's say some other coping mechanisms, because in the moment, what would you say when you're actually on stage and let's say you're the person that is going to only be able to do the 2 pirouettes instead of the 3, and you are worried that others are going to look at you and say, well, she's just not as good as everybody else.
Or they blame you because y'all didn't place because everyone hit that clean triple or they hit that technique and you didn't.
You didn't make the shot on the team. You didn't make that,
so the team ends up blaming you for it if y'all don't place or anything like that.
Part of that's just, okay, this is actually where I need to be right now, and I just need, like you said, take some time, get a little bit better, and then show them next time around, okay, I can succeed at those 3 pirouettes.
I think just practicing on your own.
Just practice on your own?
I mean, you can ask your dance teachers or coaches if they can help you, yes. But why would you want to waste money trying to practice a technique when you can try to learn it on your own. Growing up, a lot of your age and my mom's age didn't have studios back in their day. They didn't ask anybody for help. How do you think the break dancers in New York or some of the dancers that are adults are able to do what they can do now? A lot of sports people were self-taught. Back in the day, they didn't have studios. They didn't have dance coaches. They just went on the street and started dancing, or went into an open field and they just started playing basketball and practicing football, and that's where they are. And it took me a hard time to learn that, because I always told my mom, if I don't have my teacher help me, I'm never going to get the technique down. I always if I don't pay for private lessons for her to help me with my technique, I'm never going to get the technique down, no matter how many times I would try on my own. And so I take that advice that my mom gave me with me everywhere, because you just have to think about it. Why would you want to spend money on that when you can do it yourself? Sure. Growing up, playing a sport can be a rewarding experience, but it also teaches discipline, teamwork, and the value of hard work. You're not going to get everything your way right there and then, or you can't. There's not a shortcut to be successful in your sport or just in life in general. There's no shortcut. You're going to have bumpy up and down roads. Once you hit that bumpy down road, or once you hit that breaking point, you can either pick yourself back up or let yourself crawl. And I'm pretty sure no one's going to want to sit there and let themselves crawl, because everybody has a second chance at improving, you know? And so you might start to feel like pressure and, you know, better than everybody else once you start to get more skilled. I noticed a lot of my old friends were getting better at a lot of techniques. She was able to hit a triple pirouette into an aerial. And because no one else was able to do that, she thought she was better than everybody else. And that's going to hurt, because you're sitting there like, okay, well, everyone else can do this and I can't. Like I said before, you just can't let that bother you.
Right.
Another thing you could probably do is talk to a sports psychologist. I didn't have one, but I did talk to my coaches, my teammates, and my mom especially, because she's an adult, so my mom would have more advice on something like this, or maybe asking your coach, because they're your sport coach for a reason. They did all the hard stuff that you're going through right now. So that's just something you can also ask.
What's next in your dance journey? Like right now, where are you at? And what do you see coming for you next? Maybe in a year or so?
Well, next year I will be a senior. I will be 18 next year. And I think next year in the summer, I'm going to start going to some college, like dance recruitment clinics, or just the clinics in general at some of the colleges I want to go to, like Prairie View A&M or UNT or Louisiana or LSU. And so I think that's where I'm going to be seeing myself next year, or probably this year in the coming summer. I want to see if this is something I really want to do, not just go to college for my sport, not just go to college for my major, but also if this is what I want to do as a passion. Something in my mind says next year when I hit 18, I'm probably going to go back to my old studio and be a dance teacher there, or be a dance coach, because you can be a dance teacher or a coach over there at the age of 18. So maybe I'll do that and get better at it, because I want to get my minor in being a dance coach. If I start now at 18, then I will have somewhat experience, but at least I had one good full year or 2 good full years of dancing technique. So when I go off on my own, once I graduate college, I know what I have to do to be a dance coach, whether it's for a high school drill team or a college.
That's a great way to learn too, is just becoming a teacher or volunteering to teach.
Yeah.
Because it's different being a teacher than being a student. You have to prepare for being a teacher and you have to be the authority.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do.
Awesome.
I pray and hope to stay on my competitive team until I'm 19, because you can be on the competitive team until you're 19 at my new studio. I don't want to leave.
Very awesome. Do you have any questions for me?
Have you ever had any of your ambassadors open up to you about their mental health on their sport, being a dancer or being an ambassador? Because I know being an ambassador can be stressful just as a dancer itself.
I can definitely tell you some have come to me, they've had injuries, not from being an ambassador, but just from being on teams. It's a pretty common thing for dancers to have injuries. As far as mental health, I did have one ambassador take some time off for her own mental health too, just from being an ambassador. So that kind of underscores the importance of mental health in dance. So
and did she feel any kind of better when she came back? Could you see that her mental health was better when she came back?
Yeah, when she came back, she was just doing what she needed to do and was doing it great like always. I see this time and time again where dancers are either focused on other people and trying to be better than them.
Yeah.
And social media doesn't really help. So I've seen many posts about like, take away social media for a while.
Yeah, about how they're going to ban TikTok and everything like that.
Well,
but
the TikTok ban is more because they're worried about China spying and
That
then
too.
ByteDance. We're trying to figure out if we don't buy ByteDance or someone else from China doesn't sell ByteDance to us, then they'll
Right.
ban TikTok. Dance on TikTok, actually, for minors was kind of banned.
That's what I meant by it was getting too stressful on some of the athletes. It is mainly about the whole spying thing. A lot of people are being on social media in general because they feel like they don't get any support in their real life. So they post their sport or whatever they want so that way other people who aren't in their life can be supportive of them because they think the people in their life aren't supportive.
Right.
So that's also another reason why a lot of people get on social media and post their dancing, their skills, just because they feel like if I post any of my sports on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, then I will feel more support and more love versus if I didn't do it.
And it's also a community on there.
Yeah.
So they have a community of dancers that they can talk with. A lot of other platforms, especially if it's not Instagram and it's YouTube, maybe TikTok now, sort of, but mainly Instagram.
Mainly,
if you don't,
mainly Instagram and YouTube most. I see a lot more dancers on Insta than I do on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's really Insta for dance.
Yeah.
If I try to talk about dance on any other platform, the likes are like 2 compared to like on Insta.
You get so many likes on Instagram and then you're like, maybe if I post on TikTok and you only get like 5 views but 0 likes. You know?
Exactly. That's how it works. Focus on yourself and improving. Yeah, that's like the mantra out of all of this, I see. Thanks for tuning in to the Dancers in Spotlight podcast again, Avah Block, and we will hopefully see you on another podcast again, and we might even have another guest join us. If you wanted to talk about a different topic, let me know. Just DM me or contact me and we'll get together and talk about that topic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.